Wait, how do we stop it? No, I want just wait. I want to play this one out because it has like what I think is the funniest little outro. Butterfly 3000.
Yeah, this.
But then like, it's the drums right at the fucking end. I'll do them for you. This part coming up. Ready? It's right at the very end of the album.
I know.
What?
And it's so cool.
Like, it's such a strange little uptick in energy to end an album.
I know. Yeah, they didn't roll it off. I reckon they kind of rolled it off, but yeah, it was an odd way compared to everyone fades out. They're just like, yeah, just a little bit of spark.
Boom, 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 with like a sort of a stomping sort of synth. Yeah. Oh, it's off. Sweet. I got happiness inside my pocket.
It cost me $25.
Maybe we
could go hobbies. I was like, I know exactly what's in his pocket.
Anyway, we should probably do the podcast.
Yeah, listen. We're at 20 minutes.
Unless you have any other factoids.
I have no fun facts for this at all, except for this album is epic with a K at the end because you should pick it. And the K is for kick-ass. Okay. EPICK.
Very good. All right, start us off.
That was the best I could do. Welcome, CDR. I am Bryn. This is Matt. This is where we give our very unprofessional opinion about albums and music, coming from people who are not musicians and slightly better at being a musician.
Maybe.
This week we've been listening to the second album of the year by King Gizzard, Lizard Wizards, which we're just going to go with KGLW from now on.
Yep.
This is their 18th album, coming in with Butterfly 3000. I think they dropped a member this time because I couldn't find Lucas Harwood in there on the list of names.
I mean, they have so many members, it would be a surprise if they could keep them all the entire time,
well,
right?
It's a surprise with Stu McKenzie, who's now the manager, the producer, the mixer, the songwriter.
That's right. There was someone who left, but to run
the business.
Yeah.
And he is absolutely thriving. This is their first album on their own label, KGLW. Some have looked at the... We've been talking about, we're thinking that the cover is sort of a magic eye. I call it a crossed eye auto stereogram.
Of course you do.
And Matt thinks if you get a vinyl, please let us know. If you get close enough, pull back if it's got a butterfly on it, because that would be sick.
I would like to know. It has to. As soon as you said that to me, I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
It'd just be a fun thing to add in. Like,
absolutely.
They do a lot of fun things all the time. You know, they're not going to stick to one genre, as we've already seen, so they're free to be as creative as they would like to be. I feel like this album is heavily keyboard focused. I mean, the guitar pops in and out all the time, drums are running. You'll tell me more about all this. I think in a short amount of time, I can tell you this is an acid trip. This is a astroplane, lucid dream, easygoing, chilled album.
Yeah, synthy dream pop, I think, it captures it best. But lucid astral plane experience is probably not a bad way to put it either.
If you're not doing drugs, just close your eyes. You're going to get close.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but we would just say yes. We have listened to the shit out of this thing.
Quite a number of times, I think.
It's hard not to. Well, it's obvious that we're a fan, and they can't really go wrong. I mean, they probably could go wrong,
but they aren't.
Not this time. And it's a strong runner for number one for me this year.
Yeah, this album... I mean, I don't know what your experience was like with the album this week, but for me, the first time I listened to it, I was like, oh, you know, these songs are kind of cute. Like, they're pretty chill. The vibe's real, just easygoing. And then every single listen, I'm like, oh, gee, that's a little bit more complex than I thought. Oh, geez, this is actually really kind of awesome. And then by the end of the week, I was like, oh, man, there is a lot in here.
There is so much happening within one song that I can't explain. I just cannot explain what's happening.
And
so I'm going to rely on you.
I think I vibed it more and more as the week went on as well. And once I started picking up certain lyrics and started singing along, I was hooked, line and sinker. Absolutely. How was your week with it?
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This is the easiest album. This was easier than Rise Against for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There was enough variety and ideas to keep me interested from day one. And the fact that it was kind of poppy and catchy just meant it was just a totally easy listen. There's no real aggression. It doesn't demand much of you, but if you want to go looking for complexity, it is there.
It is everywhere in this album. And each song is very much individual to all the rest, but they flow between each other like King Gizzard does so well that you know where the songs end and where they start. But there are sometimes, especially in Catching Smoke, where I'm like, I thought it ended twice.
Yeah.
It's a 6.5 minute song. Yeah. I thought it ended twice, and then it finally ends. I'm like, that's right. That's where it is. But each song is completely separate and different, and it's just a clean, smooth flow all the way through.
Yeah.
It doesn't shock you.
It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't break the attention span either. So it's not one. It's not one note, even though it is very synthy. They throw in all elements. They throw in interesting guitar work. They change it up. They have the occasional electric. They have some fairly pleasant acoustic, menacing acoustic at random times, but only in between bits. And the synth throughout is bright, chirpy, and catchy in the best possible way.
Yep.
I think this album also had the longest list of words that we had to look up.
We're starting a new segment of words that Bryn doesn't know.
and may as well start it up. Words that Matt didn't know. I'd look up several.
Oh, well, I feel we should just come in with the words that I don't know, see how many you can knock off, and then maybe look up the ones he doesn't.
I mean, it would make for a pretty boring podcast, but not like the Thesaurus podcast or dictionary.com.
Oh, whatever.
Maybe just pick one or two. For me,
no. If there's a lot, I'm coming in hard, and we'll pick out the best ones.
Okay, pick out the best ones then.
We'll just edit properly.
Oh, poor Cass.
That's me. Yeah.
So Epicureanly is the one that comes to mind. Like that, I just sort of my eyes glazed over. I'm like, what the hell kind of word is that? And it comes in the phrase, it's like Epicureanly living la dolce vita. It's like, okay.
Did you check out La Dolce Vita?
Yeah. So La Dolce Vita is the good life.
Is the good life.
Basically.
It was a movie from 1950s that was banned by the Vatican.
What was it?
It was probably
hip thrust or something.
Oh, Elvis Presley on the front cover. He's long dead.
Yeah, he long banned.
He gone. What the fuck are we doing?
We should probably go through the songs.
Let's go through the songs. We don't want to take too long. We're already 6 minutes in. How many songs? 1, 2, 3. 10 tracks on this, running at about
40, low 40s.
41 minutes. It's a pretty short album.
Yeah.
Starting with Yours, and this really does ease straight into it. From the first song, you know what you're into. It's
a pretty pleasant track. It doesn't sort of go to any highs or any lows. It's probably not one of the stronger tracks for mine, but its vibe is very... it's heartwarming. It's just me, you... ethereal sort of singing. It's a pretty pleasant track with a pretty cool bass line too, actually. The bass line throughout the entire album is sick. I think the bassist gets not enough credit, mainly because I'm a guitarist and that means I'm diametrically opposed to bassists. But the bass riffs that they have on this album, and pretty much all throughout the King Giz stuff, is great. And this track is no exception.
That's not knocking any of the other musicians because they're all pulling amazing stunts out.
Well, some of them.
Or who's not?
I'm not going to name names, but come on, bassists, mate.
What? You talking in KGLW, all the members are
you're talking about KGLW?
I'm not talking about the other...
No, I'm talking about bassists worldwide.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm not going down that track. I have no say in that.
Anything else to say about yours?
No, just except for... I do like the drums and the keyboard playing together with the lyrics at the same time when he's...
It's a real King Giz-ism, isn't it? Sort of the keyboard or synth line playing with the notes of the vocal line as well. They tend to do that a fair bit.
I found that the keyboards was almost like a backup singer as well.
Yeah, it flavors the sound so that you sort of don't really know what's the dominant force. Is it the vocal? Is it the synth? But it's totally easy listening and vibey, and it doesn't even matter if you don't pick up on the lyrics as well. That's kind of the theme as well with
King Giz.
With King Giz, generally speaking, is that lyrics are optional. Lyrics are fun if you sort of go around and sort of dig a little bit deeper, but you get the vibe so quick and early, you can just sort of close your eyes and just go with it.
You can easily not pay attention to the lyrics or the singing and still enjoy this album.
I mean, and then you get Shanghai when...
So,
let me trace my steps.
Okay, it gets a little bit racial. I was like, Shanghai, and then it sounds Asian.
I mean, so just to preface what the song is, from what I can gather, it's a song about Stu or some members of the band having way too much fun for one night in Shanghai, having too much, SZECHUAN. Oh, I can't even pronounce the damn word properly. They had way too much to drink, and they've obviously written a song about the metamorphic experience one might have on a drunk night such as that.
Yep, when you enjoy yourself way too much.
Yes.
I found it, just a little off-putting with his high-pitched singing. Was that intentional for being Shanghai, and the flute added in as well? And halfway through, it gets real animated. I find the song to be very animated.
I really like the main synth line, the and like that little stop bit at the end. The other thing that King Giz do almost religiously is 4/4. What the fuck's 4/4? Let's throw that out. We'll just play in whatever time signature we like. We need an extra beat there. Just chuck an extra beat in. Who cares?
It'll line up at one stage.
It'll eventually line up, and if it doesn't, let's just put some synth over it. It'll be fine.
Do it a few times, and we'll just pack it up.
I quite like this track. Hey, it grew on me. Even the nasally verse singing.
Look, from Shanghai through the rest of our album is great. As I feel, yours is probably the lowest point on this album, even though it's still a good song.
Yep.
But after yours, it just gets better and better and better and better. I mean, each song after this is awesome.
Well, I mean, for me, Dreams is the song that I sing around the house. That was the song that got stuck most in my head, and you annoy your partner with it. You just go up to Tony, I only want to wake up in my dreams. You just can't help but smile when you do it, and you can't help but sing it all the time. And I'd just be walking around the house singing it, and she's like, why the hell are you singing? And I'll play it.
It's so catchy.
And then she does.
It is a super catchy. This is probably the catchiest song out of the whole lot. I mean, it's easy when they repeat one line every second line.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this song probably suffers from a lack of ideas, but I did read into it, and Blue Morpho, the next track, they were never meant to be two separate tracks. They were meant to be one track with the riff for Blue Morpho, like the outro. It was meant to be the outro for Dreams. And then apparently the band members were up in arms going, no, this is a new thing. We need to expand on this. So I think maybe Dreams lost a little bit of that, but it gave it to Blue Morpho.
Well done.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Even the ending with its fades is like that little floating away. Like there's always these moments where you feel like you're in a dream. They have just this wind blowing or some sort
heavy echo.
Yeah, and it just does feel like you're moving from one part of a dream into another part, or even just flying around in your own magical little world. I find this one a little bit positive, and musically feeling positive and motivating in Dreams.
Well, most of the album is, and this is sort of the strange thing too, is that by and large, this is a happy album.
Yes.
It is. It's happy. And my partner would say, oh, but you hate happy music. Where's the teeth? You might say that to me. Where's the teeth? That. And it's like, it doesn't need to have teeth if it's just interesting. Music can be happy. It just has to be interesting. Give me something that I can grab onto. And this album has it in spades. I really like Blue Morpho's vibe, hey?
Yep.
Like, it really feels like you're in the astral plane.
It takes a little dark turn at the start, I thought.
Or the riff is a bit foreboding, and his singing doesn't really lighten the mood because it's really high. He sings high and whispers his high, singing into your ear holes.
This is the part where you can just kind of blur away from the lyrics.
Well, you could also probably take what I just did out of context and have a lot of fun with that too.
Yep.
It also had a word that I had to look up, that anamnesis, which is basically like remembering past lives. And I'm just, really getting the vibe of astral plane. Like, you're one with the universe is you. There's no difference. It's like, and that's where you start to get that faux acid trip that you're talking about.
I mean, this one does kind of almost bring you back to a center in Morphos, because it does go low with the deep notes, and the drums just stop doing this crazy little stuff and just goes to the basic boom, 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 boom. And it's so simple and effective for this song. It just draws you into, where is this next going? It sets it up. It just, with the echo singing as well, it's like, you are now moving on to another stage. You're done with morphing. Morpheus has been in your ear or your mind, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. You move into these songs are just moving on. I can't stop just losing my shit at how good it is that they just do this flow of shifting and changing and taking corners, and it's just so easily to do.
Yeah. Yeah, they turn corners naturally. You move into the next song, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the most obvious thing in the world.
It's not jarring.
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting whiplash or pulled in a direction. You're literally in this flow on a river, just going through the bends.
That's a good way to describe the album. It's like you're flowing down a river, and it's just. But I'm thinking like Calypso Beach at Wet and Wild, where there's no one else around, rather than like a river rapid. Well, let's distinguish what river we're going down.
Yeah, okay.
Did you like Interior People?
Interior People was probably one of my... Interior People and Catching Smoke, which roll into each other, are probably my two favorite.
Well, they're definitely my two favorite. I'd say Catching Smoke is the better, but I would not begrudge you liking Interior People.
No, I don't know what's about Interior People. I think it's mainly around the singing that I kind of enjoyed it.
It feels like a more... It felt like a more full track in the mix. It felt like a more traditional type song, less like dream poppy, more fleshed out. It felt like sort of just straight up pop, really. A little less synth influence, but the messaging, this is your standard COVID track. You know, we're interior people, and you can take the analogy to be literal, we're stuck in our houses, or metaphorical, I'm stuck in my brain. Yeah, I really quite like this track.
This is a kind of a mind-bending song. You know, I felt someone's hand on my shoulder, I turn around, they're back in my head. And towards the end, you must be going into just this crazy mind state of insanity, because it goes into, when the guitar comes in, I thought it was microtonal. He's telling me it's not.
Yeah,
but it feels like a standoff is about to happen, and obviously it's between you and his mind, and it just ends in this. My own thought and my own dream of this is like a peanut animated dance off towards the end with Snoopy just going nuts. I love it. I can't help but imagine a cartoon story to this.
Sure. Yeah. Completely. I mean, I can't imagine it in my head, but like, this album has that effect on you, I think, because I was actually going to mention for Blue Morpho, if I close my eyes and listen to it, so help me, I feel like I see the color blue. Like, that's how much of an acid trip I'm on by the time I'm on that track, right?
Oh man, you think that's more of the acid trip? When you get the Catching Smoke, I feel like there's the hollow sound in the background of the Cheshire Cat floating behind it.
Just the big grin.
Yeah, just like coming in from one ear and over the other side, floating back and forth.
I like that.
I did it so well.
This is really has like an Alice in Wonderland flair to it. Now you mention it.
Anything, yeah, definitely it does. But any of those Disney movies where it's just like a little bit out there.
Yeah. Oh man, I really like Catching Smoke. I think this was the best track on the album because A, it was catchy. B, the lyrics talk about self-indulgence. That's the entire song in a nutshell. And there's something liberating about every now and then just letting your hair out, not that we have any, and enjoying the moment. Like the second verse is, give me 5. That's all I need to put on my epitaph, you know? Just, I want to be the hero for one day. Let me be the hero. We're going to the Oval Office because in this story, I'm the motherfucking president, right? And then, like, the next line is, I got happiness inside my pocket. And it's like, oh, what kind of happiness do you have? It cost me $25. It's like, that kind of happiness.
Do you maybe want to go Harvey's?
So this song also, and the last point I would make is that this song is also very musically interesting. So this song, I think, is the best exponent of polyrhythm. So King Giz love to pull out their tricks. And aside from the fact that they have odd timing signatures in the chorus, they have this part at the end of the second chorus and again at the end of the final chorus, which is a bit of a polyrhythm. They have the Catching Smoke vocal line over the top of a chugging palm muted guitar that aren't in the same rhythm. They're two different rhythms, right? And they marry up at the end. And the first time I listened to it, I was like, whoa, I'm sort of having a bit of trouble latching onto it. But now it just feels natural in its unnatural state. It's totally interesting. It doesn't torpedo the project either. So the quintessential thing that I like to look to is you can do all these tricks, but does it still sound good?
Yeah.
And like I'd speak to Tony and say, hey, you know, this is a polyrhythm section. Do you like this section? She's like, what's polyrhythm? And B, yes, I quite like this. This is fun. You know, catch and smoke. It didn't distract if you didn't notice.
No, it's definitely not, because I can never pick up these time signatures like you do. I wouldn't even know how to count in time signatures.
Well, so your 4/4 is just...
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, but anything that isn't that, which basically is most of the album, if you're not... Like, I'm waiting for the vocal line to end on the beat, and then it never does, or at least not in a 4/4 beat. And so I'm always just like, I feel like I'm tripping over myself listening to the album, which immediately makes it interesting to me. And the fact that it still flows, it's not stilted, it's not jarring like, say, a Black MIDI track might be jarring in the way that they muck around with their timing.
Most definitely is.
So it means that people who aren't paying attention to it, they're not missing out on anything if they still vibe it.
Yep.
Man, I've gushed about that track for a while.
Well, it's... I'm glad you said chugging guitar, because that's the most musically professional word I could come up with. I mean, the drums are awesome in this, and for some reason, there's that real high sort of that they do with the keyboard for this that felt more Shanghai.
yeah, like towards the end, they sort of they pollinate the song with like these little higher chirpy synths. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Cool. Sweet magic powers for that. 2.02 killer year. Actually, I kind of thought this was like throwing me back to Chinatown for a little bit, with hollow pipes and echoes fading in the background. I think xylophone was... I think it's got to be a xylophone, just how they were doing these hollow pipe sounds.
I mean, I must admit, I just assumed it was all synth. Once a synth, always a synth. It is sort of the best guess. It is a nice tonality, and now that you mention it, I didn't even really consider it, but it is a more it does have like a xylophone quality to it, the little intro riff, that boom 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 boom.
Actually, it's more xylophone like halfway through it. You can hear it. That part I can't figure it. Like, I can't even picture what kind of instrument would be doing that. Say, like, water dropping onto something, creating this epic amount of sound.
Yeah, it must be synth play, but like their sound design is excellent for most of the album. Most of the album, to be perfectly honest. But the thing that sells me on this track is the very first line. You know, it's coming up, Beach Boys.
Yes.
I just thought, oh wow, what a strange lyric, and it's not until you sort of dig in. Love the woos, obviously.
There's so many.
They're so good at it.
Yes.
I didn't realize how many there were. Once I listened to the album the first time through, I'm like, oh, there's only like one woo. And then I listened back, I'm like, oh no,
There's
like
so
heaps.
many. There's a couple in the first song.
I know.
And I kept getting the woo wrong at the wrong position. I'm like, it's right here. Actually, no, they're going to go for another 8 beats.
Well, that might also be a function of their weird time signatures as well.
That would be exactly true.
But yeah, this is their climate change song, or the Earth undergoing a metamorphosis, which is the prevailing theme. This song's great. It has a really cool like breakdowny bit where the track almost picks up a bit and the singing changes, and it has that real funky synth bass line rocking through.
That's where I feel the xylophone is.
Okay.
Where it picks up real quick. It's going back and forth, back and forth.
I'll have to go back and listen to it again.
Yeah, I'm probably wrong, but that's okay. I try my best. Yeah, that was their Greenpeace sort of save the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming up Beach Boys because the water levels are rising. Everything will be a beach sooner or later. Is sort of the
Matt's gone for a deep dive in the Giz world.
not super deep, but deep enough to sort of get a flavour for what all the songs are all about.
Black Hop Soup.
Speaking of flavour. Yeah,
Yep.
so this is the track zooming out, looking at the
That's
universe.
where I got the flying around effect. That obviously is just completely pulling away from Earth and seeing the bigger picture.
Seeing everything, existence itself. It's a black hot soup. Probably contrary to your opinion, I thought I keep saying black hops because of the friggin' brewery nearby. Black hot soup and the next track, You Love. I thought they were slightly weaker entries in the album listing for me. I still like them in much the same way you like yours, but I think these were weaker tracks. They still had things that I liked about them, but I mean they're coming off the back of the last 5 bangers, basically.
Or
6 even.
Killer Year was pretty high tempoed and a little bit more light and fluffy. Then you go into what it would be more of a dark, deep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if the idea of the song is way out in space.
Well, also as deep as you can be while singing Black Hot Soup, Black Hot Soup. It's so deep and menacing. Black Hot Soup.
I found it interesting in the guitars on this one. It's like you can hear him sliding up and down. That it's very raw.
Yeah, I got a friend that would literally like shiver in ecstasy if he heard someone sliding his hand up and down an acoustic guitar as part of a track. That's a random point.
That is a very random point.
No, but it's one of those things that
it just gets people like a cowbell for me.
Oh, fuck you and your cowbells. Honestly, what's wrong with you? You need to have your head checked. This does have the most menacing part on the album towards the back end of this track. It sort of gets a bit almost like it was an off-cut from their last album. This song is good.
Yeah. Oh, you mean you're talking about the where it becomes a little more electric?
The heavier part towards the end of the track.
It is kind of odd because it does do this. I would suggest as like a warping sound effect of the echoes with the singing, and then going into for the first time really a really heavy sort of electric guitar, and I was excited, so excited, but then it just stopped.
Yeah, well, it's not meant to be a dark album. It's that light and fluffy.
I was like, ooh, I thought this was like going to be a challenging trip now. I was like, oh shit, and then it just stopped.
So
went to Your Love.
So just as a point of note, that track was originally intended to be the final track on the album, but they decided against it because they didn't want to have the cop-out ending be dark and menacing. They're like, every other album's dark and menacing at the end. This album is about metamorphosis and generally has a positive spin.
It'd be hard to have a dark ending when the album is called Butterfly 3000.
Right? Yeah, you couldn't have said it
so
better.
far it's been so happy all up into that one spot.
Yeah.
And then we walk into
Your Love.
And I for some reason that first 10 or 9 seconds at the start could only think and feel Altered Beast for some reason.
I mean, I don't quite hear it, but it has Giz flavors all through it, and so of course you might just be getting a whiff of Murder of the Universe for whatever reason.
Must be. Yeah. But this gets real fluffy and light pretty quick.
For me, I think the repetitiveness of Your Love is a bit overdrawn. But I really like when they're not singing Your Love, the vocal lines outside of it. There's a couple of like real ELO kind of feeling vocal lines that are interesting, but there's probably not a ton that I come back to this song for. But it is a chill vibe, and it's not like it's a bad track.
No, but I'm glad it's not the ending track.
Yes, agreed. Although I have trouble picking when this track becomes the ending track. It's just like now it's the ending track, and if you missed it, too bad.
Yep, fair enough. Well, how long is the last track? BF3K.
Butterfly 3000. It's only a couple of minutes.
It's like even a minute and a bit.
But I really like it. It sort of strips back. It's real light in its touch. It feels delicate, and that I think perfectly is encapsulated by the name of the song and name of the album, and I guess the rest of the album is.
Yeah, do you think it wraps up the album pretty good? Almost like the butterflies finally come out of the dream or the cocoon.
Yeah.
And ready to fly, be as much as it can.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly good analogy, because my understanding of this track is that this is sort of an analogy for the lead singer's daughter and wanting her to live a happy, fulfilling life, basically. And yeah, I think that all ties in, the metamorphosis coming out of your chrysalis. Nothing more metamorphic than having a kid, as I'm sure you know, and I'm hoping to experience
very soon.
Yeah, what is it? 4 weeks? 4 weeks. Anyway, enough about that.
Well, I think I'll just touch up on the last track.
Sure.
I found it is a great fit and a good ending, and I really enjoyed how the drums now became a heartbeat through it, and then the keyboards are taking off, almost like a mind is exploding with fascination and curiosity, as you will find out soon enough already. When you watch a child do things for the first time, is insane. Looking at a little scientist, but yeah, it's this is probably the first time I've heard a track that just fitted so well for the last one, where there is no doubt or debate that it could have gone anywhere else, or that it would have been cut.
Yeah, it rolled perfectly into this track and was the exclamation point on an album that was already very good.
Yep. This whole album is great. I'd suggest it.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely
hard to suggest to which people I would tell them to. There's a lot of friends that if I swear 9 out of 10 people, if I suggested, would come back and say, what the fuck?
Yeah, especially if they came to music through the same avenues as we did. I mean, I came through punk and pop punk, right?
Yeah.
This album is something of a departure from that, but I think there is so much in there to enjoy. I might have a couple of friends that I could suggest it to, but yeah, there might be some that would just look at me funny.
I think anyone that plays an instrument or who is really into the structure and complexity of music, they would be all over this.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I'm so staggered that they can be releasing albums like this 4 months after releasing another album that I quite liked as well.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably their chilled one, so they got another one coming out. It's going to be a jazzy one, because they already said they're going to bring out 3 albums this year.
Oh, good on them. We can review it when it comes out then.
I don't think they have a trouble with producing anything, because they're not trying to rinse and repeat and make the same thing over and trying to stick to a sound. And as a band, I just imagine it would be tough to just try and keep everyone happy with the same sound, but be just a little bit different.
Well, I mean, they've obviously got the winning formula. Just make a lot of albums and do every style, and then everyone's happy.
Yeah, well, what they say, it's all a numbers game.
I'm staggered, and knowing what their process is like, everyone submits songs, and they have multiple projects going at any one given time, and they go, "Oh, is this song good for that project?" Yes. Oh, hey, look, 10 tracks. That's an album. Get it out there.
I think they also do go into knowing that it's going to be a ride to get something good. They know that the song sucks now, but it will get better as time goes by. So they also have like a positive mind state to it too.
Oh, yeah, clearly. Yeah, their enthusiasm for their craft is very evident, and they're the sort of band that you're excited to see what they do next. And it might even be a flop, but it sort of doesn't matter so much because you'd still then be interested for the next one because it's probably only 2 or 3 months away.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. You're always going to have one at least in 6 months.
Yeah, you're as good as your last album, which means that King Giz gets so many opportunities to reinvent themselves. I mean, they're going to go 10 years and have 20 albums at the rate they're traveling.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Oh, do you think they're trying to squeeze in 20 and 10?
I don't think they're trying to do anything, but it may just happen that way.
Well, if they bring out another one this year, they only got to do one more, and they start in
2012.
12. Find out what month that was, and let's see if they knock it in the day before. Perfect. Love it. Next week. Oh, wait. Hey, final thoughts. This
is a very, very good King Giz album. I'm almost tempted to say their second best.
Infinity.
Nanagane Benedi opens the door. Are you going to ask me what the score is? You want to guess? What are you going to do, Brinny boy?
Matthew, I reckon you're going to give it probably somewhere between... Oh, it's got to be high. 8. 8.5.
Yeah, I'm umming and ahhing about what to give it. I think this album is very good. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
It'd be hard to get a 10. I don't know how you would get a 10.
I need to reserve the 10 for that perfect album. Like, this album is very good, but, you know, there are probably 3 tracks that I liked rather than will gush over. But yeah, this album is very, very good.
That being said, those songs are aren't very skippable either.
Nah, it feels weird because then you miss out on the transitions between the tracks.
This is true.
Yeah.
Next week, we are listening to Julia Stone.
Okay, and what is the name of the album?
I don't know, what is it? I forgot.
You forgot?
I actually did forget what it was. 60 Summers. Okay, next week, we are going to be listening to Julia Stone's 60 Summers.
Okay.
This is going to be an interesting ride. I've already listened to it today.
Okay. And this is Angus and Julia Stone. Stone fame, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Aussies, we're back at it.
Yeah, we seem to be doing another Aussie month at the rate we're traveling.
It's fun. There's a lot of Aussies bringing stuff out. Anyway, we're getting way off topic. Tell us what you think about this album. Any fun facts? That's always welcomed by us. We love it.
I also want to know if there's any Gizverse lore that I've missed in this album, because heaven knows they've probably hidden a Hentai Yumi comment or something in there that I've missed.
Hentai Yumi. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh.
No, it's Kentai Yumi. Hentai Yumi might be a mix of something bad. Anyway, I won't elaborate on that.
Something that came out of World War II. Enjoy that. Later, guys. We've been set here.
Hentai Yumi. Whoops.
They got an octopus in that one too.
Yeah, several. Big black dildo tentacles.
As long as there's a black samurai, I'm okay.
You fuck that green girl and her 5 tits.
Oh my god.
Give her a big fuck for me.
There's always the creepy guy who's got the long fingers. Definitely not me.
Oh no.
My fingers were mad, and these fingers are too small. They're made for getting little tiny.
You must have had fun looking at the lyrics. I can see the word list right there.
I haven't even looked up these words. No.
Let's go through and see if I can do it. Chrysalis. So that's the thing that the caterpillar goes into before becoming a butterfly.
Yeah.
So the whole theme of the album is metamorphosis.
I get that. I thought when it being a cocoon, and yes, it's made out of silk. I didn't exactly know the correct term, but that's cool. I knew it was something along that line. I didn't know exactly what it is. So it's
SZECHUAN.
These words. Oh yeah, what's that? That's German, isn't it?
None are Chinese. So that's in Shanghai.
Yeah.
It's like. So I don't know the origins of the word specifically. It might be a region or it might be something, but it's usually associated in Western culture as Szechuan sauce.
Okay.
So it's like a real nice sauce. It was memeified by Rick and Morty in one of their episodes, famously, where he does all the shit that he does just so he could go back in time to 1999 for the Mulan McDonald's promo Szechuan sauce, right?
That's right.
What's the next one?
Cold-blooded. I just didn't know that butterflies were cold-blooded.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. They're an insect. Like anything that's like a lizard or like an insect
is cold-blooded.
Well,
I just don't think
speaking.
about it.
Yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, I wouldn't have ever thought about it. Paradigm.
Yep. Oh, wait. I know exactly what a paradigm. I have an idea. It's almost like a multiverse universe sort of.
It's like a worldview is the easiest way to describe it. It's like you might have a set way about how you think about things. So like if you have a paradigm shift, maybe you encounter some information that makes you go, oh, maybe my worldview isn't good. Maybe I should modify it.
Is that like an epiphany?
Yeah, that would be, you would have an epiphany to have a paradigm shift. That would make sense, yeah.
Ephemeral, I just didn't know exactly what it was, but I know it is something to do with endorphins enhancing drugs.
Yeah, ephemeral is, it's meant to be almost like spiritual without being spiritual. So I guess it sort of flirts with that.
Yep, cool.
What's the next one? Hedonism. Yeah. So that's in Catching Smoke.
Yeah.
So hedonism is the state of pure indulgence, to act in a way that is indulgent.
Yep.
Epitaph. So epitaph is what you... the best way to describe it is what's inscribed on your gravestone when you die. That's your epitaph.
Oh, fuck's sake.
So epi, so being after, and taph, I guess, has something to do with...
Epi death. Means after?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
an EpiPen?
I mean, that's what the prefix can mean. Yeah. So like an EpiPen, you have the event and here's the thing after the fact to make you less dead. Which is not to be confused with the next word,
which is
Epicureanly. So I had to look this one. I had no friggin' idea.
Epicureanly.
Yeah. So Epicurean is either a Greek god or a Greek figure that represented hedonism, which is why it's used in that.
In the same
Epicureanly living La Dolce Vita is the line in the song, which is basically means you're self-indulgently living the good life is what that line means. What's that last word?
I'm pretty sure that says dishonest.
Dishonest?
I don't think it is.
Dissonance?
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 Yeah.
Is that what the word is?
DISSONANCE.
Yeah, so dissonance. So the best way to think about it might be, I think something, you might think something a little bit different, and the difference between our opinions might be a dissonance. It's like
close.
We vibrate close, but you can tell that we don't vibrate quite the same.
Yep. Okay. So you're almost there, but you're still not on the same page.
Yeah. So I mean, generally, when you're talking about dissonance, though, you're talking about it in a more negative and probably a bit more extreme use case. It's like I'm thinking more of like the guitar dissonance. Like you could play a note, and then if you play like the next note up, it sounds dissonant to your ears because it's very similar, but they don't mix together well.
Okay. Fair enough.
There was a lot of I had to look up, especially that Epicureanly. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Well, we're going to make this a regular segue of Matt teaches BRINS words.
Well, I mean, most albums shouldn't have that many words. There's another word you missed. How did you not get anamnesis? I had to look that word up.
Anamnesis?
Yeah. Anamnesis.
Oh, I misread that.
That was in Dreams.
Yeah.
And shit.
I just thought that was like anamnesis.
So there are a lot of different words it could be, but anamnesis is, I think it's the act of falling asleep.
Amnesis is while you are going
Amnesis.
to sleep.
Yeah. So
is the act of falling asleep.
I feel like that's a crude way of explaining it, but I don't even have a better way to explain it right now.
See, that's why we do this game.
I was like, shit, surely Bryn would have Of all the words to miss, that was the one that stuck out to me. Anamnesis is recollection, especially of a supposed previous existence. So I mean that has
Probably ties
that has
into
astral plane quality.